There are two camps of people currently watching this video. The first camp of people genuinely wants to know why Octavia is kind of this secret S tier character and why she is so strong. The second camp are the ones who know she's busted and don't really want anyone to know about it because DE has been known in the past to react to popularity and not what is inherently broken in the game. Such is the case with the likes of Ember, and probably why they decided to give the Axe Stilettos a rhythm disposition of 1 right out of the gate. And while I do understand where those people are coming from, Octavia is kind of polarizing in a way in which all of her abilities simply do too much when put together in the same kit. For instance, take her passive. Her passive is anytime she activates an ability, she and her teammates replenish 1 energy per second for 30 seconds. Alone, this is a really good ability. But when you pair it up with her mallet, it essentially gives you access to her AoE damage move for free. This kind of synergy continues across the rest of her kit, so if we start with mallet and work our way up, you'll see that everything kind of escalates from 0 to 11 pretty fast. Her mallet is an AoE damaging crowd control ability that attracts enemies in its sightline, causing them to fire at it. It has the potential to scale infinitely because it absorbs, multiplies, and redirects damage from all enemies. That sounds pretty good, right? Now, what if I told you that you could multiply the range to cover almost all of Hydron with her ultimate, and can make it mobile using her second ability? And while we're on the topic of her second ability, it's another crowd control ability that on its own puts enemies in a passive state and gets them to follow it around like some sort of conga line. This is probably the weakest for abilities, and besides the mallet combination, it doesn't have any other inherent synergies except for the fact that it's not only her only means of survivability. In fact, she has 3 abilities that boost her survivability. Which brings me to her third and undoubtedly her most ignorant ability, Metronome. I like to imagine that when Metronome was designed, someone at DE forgot that Loki and Navarre exist and figured that they should give Octavia a better invisibility than either. For Loki's sake, I'm going to go down the limitations of his invisibility and then talk about if those limitations translate over to Octavia. Loki has a base 12-second invis, it's not recastable, and it costs 50 energy to cast. Alright, now let's compare it to Octavia when she does the same. Octavia has a base 15-second invisibility, 3 more than Loki. It's recastable while she's invisible, and it costs 75 for the initial Metronome cast. But because it's recastable, she can cast it again for free before Metronome ends, and she has a passive that discounts 30 energy. Also on activation of Metronome, she gets a 35% armor boost for no reason, on top of the fact that she can go invisible. I mean, who's responsible for this? Who let this go through? And that was literally just one of her buffs. She has 3 others that increase speed, multi-shot, and melee speed for her and her teammates. I mean, for Christ's sake, Ivara needs an augment mod to at least get around a little bit faster, all the while Octavia's bullet jumping next to her for free. The cherry on top is her ultimate, which amplifies the range of her abilities and gives her and her squad mates a 200% strength increase a la Rhino as long as you're making any sort of noise. So what? Who cares if she's really strong? Well, the problem is power creep. Let's use Harrow as an example. Harrow is similar to Octavia in which his abilities synergize very well, but unlike Octavia, he's like a very well balanced breakfast. Even if you build for one particular ability, the rest don't magically become overpowered either. They still exist and can be used as an option, but it doesn't overextend. For Octavia, unless you're only speccing into duration, you can spec into one playstyle and everything else somehow gets just as good as the ability you wanted to spec on indirectly. If the only nerf they did to her was tone down her invisibility, she would be in line with everyone else, because at that point her survivability goes down from, I'm never dying unless a teammate lures a bombard missile to me, to, well, gee, I gotta make sure I use my other crowd control abilities to help me survive, as opposed to teabagging for 10 years. As of uploading this video, she is severely overlooked, and part of the reason for that is probably because of how absolutely annoying it is to grind for her. But as with other Warframes in the past, there's always people who do like playing these kinds of frames, and it's the same kind of people who think playing Tap Titans on auto counts as playing the game and not effectively wearing out your phone's lithium battery. The other reason Octavia has no business being the way she is now, because aside from the cock measuring contest, what is the point of loading up the game if you're not even going to play it? And well, for now, that's all I have to say about that. Thanks for watching.